All right, guys. So we already know that the Raiders need a quarterback. We need a franchise quarterback. We need somebody to take this team to the next level and get back into winning form. And we're looking at the 2025 NFL draft for either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. And we also already know that Tom Brady has a very close connection to Shedeur Sanders as he has been mentoring him since high school. He also has a very good relationship with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders has made some statements about the Raiders. Shedeur Sanders has made some statements about the Raiders. And I came across the Pat McAfee show yesterday talking about this very subject. So I kind of wanted to share with you guys what I found. And it's very, very interesting. And it could mean that the Raiders will have our franchise quarterback in 2025. Let's take a listen to what these guys had to say.
Interaction with him and Cam, and obviously I don't know what their relationship is, but like whoever you are, whatever you are, everything you say about him, anything, because he's done it on the HBCU level, then he came up and he's doing it in Colorado, so he's going to remember everything that he's been saying. He's going to stack those ships continually.
And if you don't know what HBC is, it's Historical Black College.
I think to that point, this is why the Texas Tech coach had this to say about the Colorado team.
So that's a good point, though, that he was talking about is right now there's been a lot of bad talk about Shedeur Sanders as to how good he really is and a lot of comparisons between him and Cam Ward, which we have done here on this show. And this is what another coach who had to face them had to say.
I believe we're facing two of the best college football players in the country.
Okay, we don't want to smoke. We think he's great.
One is probably the leader in Heisman right now, Travis Hunter. I mean, he's a generational player.
And this is true, man. When you watch Travis Hunter play, he is absolutely phenomenal. But, of course, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders, but he is going to touch on Travis Hunter because Travis Hunter is in one of the front runners right behind Cam Ward right now to be the Heisman.
You know, I keep thinking back, and you'd have to go a long way back. I know there's been different guys that have been able to play both sides of the ball, but this guy's going to take over 100 snaps on Saturday and play.
Again, something that is absolutely insane. If we think about how much Max Crosby plays every single snap that he can on defense, that's crazy, but he's still maybe getting 40 snaps a game. This kid, Travis Hunter, is taking 100 snaps a game playing both cornerback and wide receiver. Would be fantastic if the Raiders could end up with him, but we need a quarterback.
Play at an elite level. I mean, as good as anybody in the country, and so he deserves to be in the mix and probably the leader. And then, in my opinion, I think that Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in college football.
Now, that's pretty important because, again, this is coming from a different coach, a coach of Texas Tech that is talking about playing against these two guys and the fact that he thinks Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in college football right now. When you have Cam Ward out there with Miami, and again, what Cam Ward has done with Miami and completely flipping that organization around in just one season has been phenomenal. So I'm very impressed with the fact that other coaches are still looking at Shedeur and saying he is better than a guy like Cam Ward. How could you go wrong if the Raiders ended up with either one of them?
If I was an NFL GM and I had a pick to where I needed a quarterback, he'd be the first quarterback taken in this year's draft. He should be, and so I have a lot of respect for him.
I like that his PR guy goes, hey, listen, we don't need to feel any of this fire.
No, they're going to see this.
He's going to listen. He's going to hear it. And Texas Tech goes, let me take my notes then. I'll do my research. Let me go ahead. Damn, this guy is really good. I don't know. This generation.
And Shedeur is really good, as well as Travis Hunter. But here's the thing about Shedeur. There's so much hype around him because of his name. When you look at him compared to Cam Ward, you are essentially looking at the same quarterback, though Shedeur is a bit more accurate.
And then Shedeur, this guy should be in the NFL, sure.
The best quarterback.
I'm not going to say a single thing about him. And then the internet has reported that after every Raiders loss, Shedeur Sanders has put out thank you God tweets.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, this is really interesting. I didn't actually know that this was happening, and I actually follow Shedeur Sanders, and I missed these tweets. But the fact that he is thanking God every time the Raiders lose a game lets you know a little bit about where he wants to go. Because, again, he doesn't want to go to a bad team, but he wants to go to the Raiders. So if he wants to go to the Raiders are going to have a top pick in order to get him, or at least make it easy for his dad to kind of push that issue and make him go to the Raiders. And we're going to talk about that here in just a second. We're going to get into that. It's pretty juicy.
Yeah. So I guess this is
That's a lot of tweets.
this is from a lot of tweets, and I think they're on their way. I think they're on their way. And if you do recall, I believe him and Davis have already had a conversation about, hey, this might be your new home.
Oh, yeah.
And if you think about Las Vegas, Shador, that feels like the right home for Shador Sanders, especially with a team that's trying to find an identity going forward. You got Max Crosby on the defensive side, which we all know is a pillar for the Raiders, has been a pillar for the Raiders. And then you got Shador and his moxie on the. That'd be perfect. But is that how it works in the NFL?
And that is the question. Is that how it works in the NFL? Can Shador just simply go wherever he wants? Well, traditionally, the answer is no. However, if you look at how Archie Manning dealt with Eli Manning getting his son to the Giants, it is possible for a star father to get his son where he wants to go.
I don't know. I legitimately don't know because I've never seen Coach Prime's kid go into the draft.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is how it works or not, but you remember Deion said in a couple interviews, he said we already got a couple teams that we know where they're going.
Yeah.
And if we don't want you, they're not going there either.
Yeah.
And a lot of people.
So there you go. Deion Sanders has already said, we have a couple of teams where my boys are going to go, and if we don't want you going there, they're not going to go there. And so only a guy like Deion Sanders could actually come out and say something as crazy as that and most likely get away with it, because at the end of the day, Deion Sanders is a superstar. He is a Hall of Famer. He has so much pull as not only being the Colorado's head coach, but also just being who he is. I mean, he is a big name, and his son is now going to be a big name moving forward in the NFL. He's already a big name in college football. So I'm really excited by this information, because here's what we need in Raider Nation. We need a quarterback. We need the franchise quarterback. And I know a lot of people are saying that the Raiders need to go out there. We need to get the O-line. We need to get running backs. We need to get this. We need to get that. We need to get this. We need to get that. Guys, we've been doing that for over 20 years, and it has not worked for us whatsoever. What was the last time when the Raiders actually drafted a quarterback in the first round since Jamarcus Russell? Never. We haven't done it. Why haven't we done it? Because we have settled for mediocrity. We have not wanted to go up and get the star quarterback. How many times have the Raiders missed out on guys like Dan Marino, like John Elway? You name it, on and on and on and on. The Raiders continue to miss out on quarterbacks, and it has bitten us in the butt so many times. It is time right now, right here, this year, the Raiders need to go out and get that prime time quarterback. Is that Shador Sanders? Well, I got to be honest with you. He's not my first choice. My first choice is going to be Cam Ward, and only because, and it's a very close 1A, 1B type of situation between him and Shador Sanders, but only because I look at what Cam Ward has been able to do in Miami without the Heisman frontrunner Travis Hunter. If you look last year at Shador Sanders, yes, he was still good, but he didn't have Travis Hunter last year. Now, Shador Sanders looks absolutely phenomenal because he happens to have a guy named Travis Hunter on the team. And a lot of people are saying, well, Miami has a better team. I would argue to differ. I would say that Colorado has an easier schedule for one, and they have a better team all around as far as offensive weapons go. Maybe the offensive line isn't quite as good, or maybe Cam Ward is just really that good at getting out of tackles. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. How do you feel about this? Should Shador Sanders come to Las Vegas and become a Las Vegas Raider?